I'd like to welcome Vickie Leuenberger today. Hi, Vickie. So welcome. I'm so excited to have this conversation with Vickie today. She is, okay, I'm going to have you say it. Where are you right now?
I'm a digital nomad who lives full-time on our beautiful yellow sailboat. So I'm currently cruising in the Caribbean, and right now my boat is parked in Martinique.
Martinique. Awesome. So tell us, first, I want to know why sailboat? I mean, you're full-timing in a sailboat. So what put you there? Because you didn't start off being a sailor, right?
No, not at all. Always love that question. I'm like, oh, it just happened. I was born a mermaid. Yeah, no, my parents don't sail. I was not brought up with sailing as a kid. It all started in 2019. I went on a chartered trip to the Bahamas and I experienced life aboard. So I was 2 weeks on a beautiful sailboat in the beautiful turquoise waters of the Bahamas. And I came back home and I declared to my friends and family that this would be my lifestyle from now on. I would become a full-time pirate and move on a sailboat. And then it took me 4 years to, get the knowledge, the skills necessary to start shopping, purchase my boat, and now we're here.
Awesome. So did you have to take certain courses? I mean, are there regulations you have to do certain classes for, or how does that come about?
Yeah, in terms of regulation worldwide, there's only one thing that is mandatory, and that is your VHF radio operator license. So in order to operate a VHF radio, so that's what you used to do, like a Mayday, maybe some people have heard of that, or a pan, which are what you do when you're in distress. You need to have that certificate. Aside from that, there are many regulations that are different around the world, depending on where you're at. So because I was in Canada, I needed to get a boat permit. That was the only other thing that was mandatory. And then I did a bunch of other extra courses, partially because I wanted to feel safe. It's just with that boat permit, you don't feel safe sailing. Actually, there's no sailing as part of the exam. It's only about motoring, laws, buoys, kind of like getting your driver's license.
Okay.
But you don't learn how to sail per se. And then also for insurance purposes, because the more paper you have for the insurance company, the lower you're going to pay to get your boat insured.
So did you take actually, like, did you go out on a boat to learn how to sail, or do you have a crew, or how does that work for you?
Yeah. So that's really funny. In 2020, when I took my first practical class, not theoretical, I went to sailing day camp. So it was me at the time. I was, I think, 25 or 26 with a bunch of little 12-year-old boys on small lazy boats. So that's the first time I learned like the practical how to sail. And then after that, after I met my current partner, my fiance, we took a practical course in Puerto Rico, which I've heard you lived in. So I'm excited to connect on that.
Awesome.
The land of all the manatees. So we went there with a mentor who taught us kind of more basics, and also taught my partner the basics because he did not know anything. And I was 2 years ahead of him at the time. And then we took our captain licenses in the east of Quebec with another, again, professional, another mentor. And now it's just him and me on the boat. We've been the co-captains of our boat for 8 months now.
That's exciting. So what kind of size boat do you have? Can you tell us about your boat?
Yeah. Her name is Yellowbird. She is bright yellow. She's a 30 feet steel monohull.
Wow. So how is that like living on a boat? I mean, just space wise, do you go stir crazy sometimes? Are you out on the water for long periods of time? How's that for you?
That's a really big challenge in terms of intimacy, having your own personal time. My partner and I are always up in each other's business. So we have a bedroom, we have, of course, storage, a small bathroom, a kitchenette, kind of a main living room space, and then we have one like extra bed for guests. And we've had guests several times in the last 8 months. We actually just had 2 friends who just flew out this Saturday. Living 4 on Yellowbird was quite an experience, to say the least. But we spend a lot of time outside too, right? We go swimming, we take a little dinghy to shore, we go to cafes, we work online. So from Tuesday to Friday, we'll usually go to land, go to a cafe or co-working space, and try to get some space away from one another. And another thing that's important to mention is that boats will break nonstop. Like if you don't know this,
Oh,
everything is broken on a boat. You just don't know it yet.
oh, great.
So a huge part of being a full-time cruiser, because cruising is not sailing. Cruising is fixing your boat in exotic places.
Okay.
So a big part of our energy goes into making sure that everything on the boat works, fixing things on the boat. There's maintenance to do every single week. So that's definitely a big element of
Yeah.
being a live.
So you're cruising, not sinking, I guess, and being stranded. So did you realize that before you went on a boat? I mean, did people say, hey, this is what it's going to be like when you were learning about it?
Yeah, that's definitely something we were expecting. I think not as bad as the reality, to be honest. Like we were stuck on 2 different islands this year for over 6 weeks waiting for a specific part to fix our engine. We did over 200 nautical miles with sails only, because at one point we had to sail to another island with no motor
Oh, wow.
to try to get our motor repair. So there's a lot to say in that department. We were even towed by the Coast Guards at one point this year after 4 days at sea with no motor. So that's 4 days, 3 nights without sleeping, because you always need to have someone out in the cockpit.
Oh, really?
Making sure that we're not bumping into another boat or that the sails are okay. So no sleeping, no brushing our teeth, eating mostly ramen and crackers for a whole 4 days, to end up having to be towed by Coast Guards because our batteries died. So we had no more sailing instruments, no more GPS, no more chart plotter, which means we did not know which direction we were going in or which island we were heading to anymore.
Oh, my goodness.
We had to use paper maps in order to get close enough to land for someone to hear our rescue calls, then being towed by Coast Guards. So I don't think we expected that, is what I'm saying. But we knew that boats were a lot of work, and I think that's kind of what makes us so passionate about our lifestyle, is that my partner and I, we are really curious people, and we really love to learn. And the thing is that living on the sea will keep you humble. It will keep you humble, because every day when you think you've got it all figured out, the sea or the boat life is going to throw something at you and force you to learn something new. And that's something we both absolutely love. We love that challenge. We love that our lifestyle forces us to stay on our toes and stay in kind of like that childlike, playful, like curiosity mindset.
Wow, that's some amazing experiences. So when when you're stuck, like you have to wait for parts or whatever like that, you're in the Caribbean. So is it just been a lot of fun anyway? I mean,
100%. We meet awesome people. We meet other cruisers. We receive, tips. They come on our boat. They help us out. There's amazing sunsets every day. And no matter in which state or no matter the size of the boat, the view is always the same. I have the same background as the 7 million catamaran anchored right beside me.
Yeah.
There's turquoise water, there's fresh coconuts, fresh mangoes. So it's kind of like being stuck in paradise. It's not so bad.
Yeah. And so is there a community like of other sailors that you can, maybe through Facebook or something that you can hook up with? Like, hey, we're in this area, you want to get together, kind of a thing.
Oh yeah, that's a huge part. And to be honest, this is probably the most beautiful community I have ever seen in my life. It's incredible how helpful people have been to us. There are several Facebook groups, WhatsApp chat groups. On the VHF radio, if you're learning, there's something called the Cruisers Net. So when you tune in on your VHF at a certain channel, there's going to be someone hosting the Cruisers Net and kind of like announcing if there's any social activities this week, if anyone is trying to sell a part or find a part, or if anyone has just arrived in this specific bay. So from each country that we go to, we reconnect with people that we met in other islands 2 months ago, kind of thing.
That's fun.
And there's this amazing association called the Young Cruisers Association. And their slogan is like, this is life, not retirement. So we're all people that are cruising on the sea that are still working. And that kind of allows us to connect with other young cruisers who have similar challenges and lifestyles. So that's really, really helpful.
That's awesome. That's great to have that community, and you don't feel so alone, even if we're out in the water for a while. So before pre-sailing life, what was your profession then?
That's another thing we have in common, actually. I'm trained as teacher of English as a second language.
Okay.
So I used to teach English full time in elementary school. And then I kind of felt really trapped in that box. And I saw myself getting stuck in a routine of my life is the same every day, every week, and it's going to continue to be that way for the rest of my life. And I quit teaching and I got into other professional activities. Main thing is that I started coaching athletes full time. Another thing we have in common, sports. So I was coaching high level artistic swimming, synchronized swimming.
Oh, wow.
So I coached that. See, again, the water theme is starting to make sense.
Yeah.
So I coached artistic swimming full time for I think 4 or 5 years, all the way to international competition. Got really involved into the sports psychology, sports mindset. How can I help and manage human performance? And so I did that. And then when COVID hit, I kind of had to rebrand myself once again. And I really focused on what I prefer to do with athletes, which was not their physical transformation, but more their mental transformation. So I got trained for NLP, and then body language and a bunch of other things. As I said, I'm a super curious person. So I just kept on doing those things and then started working as a freelancer. And now we're here.
That's incredible. So I bet that, I mean, is the aquatic, what did you call it? For
artistic swimming?
Artistic swimming. Yes. So, I mean, that seems very physically strenuous. Like it doesn't look easy when you see that. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. It's one of the hardest things I've done in my life.
Yeah. So did you actually swim also?
Yeah. I swim.
Okay.
I swim for about 18 years.
Okay.
I didn't go all the way to international. I did national for a couple of years. I was in university league while I was in university. But yeah, it comes at a point where if you want to do international, like the athletes I was coaching, they train over 35 hours a week.
Wow.
And that's on top of if they have a part-time job or if they're at school on top of this. So it's a really big investment. And because it's an artistic sport, just like figure skating or rhythmic gymnastics, there's a lot of pressure put on your appearance.
Mm-hmm.
So, and back when I was swimming, it was even worse. Now with like positive psychology and stuff like that, it's a lot better. But we used to have to get our teeth whitened so our smiles would be more white.
Wow.
We used to all get tanned, so our skin tone would all be the same.
My goodness.
Oh yeah, it was really, really intense. There was even at the international level, and it's still like this in Russia and China and Japan, they measure the circumference of your thighs.
Oh,
and
my
if you're
goodness.
too muscular, you cannot make the team.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You need those strong legs. So, wow, that's crazy. Huh.
Yeah.
So talking about mindset and how I mean, you're a forward thinker. I mean, you didn't want to be in the box, not that teaching is bad or anything, but you couldn't sit there. And so you have this progressive mind, and then just helping the athletes progress mentally. I think that's the biggest thing is that we want to get out of our own box of our mind sometimes, so I love that you've done that. Now, is that what you are currently doing also as a coach, a life coach?
I no longer work with athletes. Right now, I work mostly with entrepreneurs. So I work as part of this amazing company. I'm one of the experts in a company called the Zennial Traveler, which is kind of like a business accelerator. Or right now, there's a membership called the Strategy and Support Society, which is a coaching collective where aspiring digital nomads, people that want to have a business that is location independent, a remote-based business, they can go there and get support from, as I mentioned, a team of coaches. So I'm one of those coaches on a team. And the reason why I took that job is because it very much resembles the philosophy I had when I was coaching sports. Because when you're coaching a team of athletes, there's never one coach, right? You're a team of specialists gravitating around the athletes. There was me, there was a physiotherapist, there was a sports psychiatrist, psychologist, I'm not sure what it's called. There was, for me, a choreographer, because my sport was artistic. So we were a team gravitating around those athletes, there's a nutritionist on the team, right? Making sure that our athletes were well taken care of. So when I found a company that did that, but for business, that approached business that way, say, oh, what if we take a sales specialist, a tech specialist, a marketing specialist, a business specialist, a mindset specialist, we put them all together, for sure, the entrepreneurs are going to get a lot better results.
Yeah.
So that's why I started to do that. And then I'm kind of the mindset expert within that company. And then also kind of like a fairy godmother for digital nomads, because I've been a digital nomad for over a year. I've traveled to Asia, to Europe, everywhere in America. So I can very much understand their challenges, help them out, whether it's to find the right insurance for their needs or the right visas or that sort of thing.
So, and you traveled to Europe, not with your boat though.
No, that was my plane.
So, the place where you're at now, we were talking earlier and you said that you're in the Caribbean, but it's not like the Caribbean. So can you share a little bit about that? I mean, I wanted to point out that you kind of had that mermaid theme going along. Yeah. Like with the swimming and the dance in the water and all that, and just coming to play and travel and stuff. So that's beautiful. That's come together for you. I love it.
Actually, I'll send it to you after this, but I was actually working as a part-time mermaid for a couple of years for a company.
Oh yeah.
Because I do a lot of free diving, scuba diving, that sort of stuff. So it was a company that taught mermaiding. So they sold mermaid tails, and I worked for them for maybe 4 years. I would do like birthday parties and events where I would dress up as a mermaid and take photos of the kids or the guests. And
that's fun.
Anyway, so I was a real-time mermaid for a bit. But your question was, where am I now? Yes. So right now I'm in Martinique, and Martinique is not really like the Caribbean because it's a French department. So it still belongs to France, and it has a very much like European touch and culture to it. So there's amazing croissants, amazing pain au chocolat every morning, really good coffee, good infrastructures as well, like buses. It's probably the only Caribbean island we've been to that has like functional buses. So in terms of infrastructures, it's very different. Time also, maybe it's a little bit more fast paced here, whereas maybe you've heard of island time. Island time is true, if anyone was wondering. You can wait for 2 weeks for a diesel mechanic to come see you. If you are in the Grenadines, it will happen. So yeah, I would say those are the main differences.
Now, do you speak French?
Yes, actually, French is my first language.
Oh, okay, awesome. And then is it French speaking? Is that the native language there?
Yeah. Everybody speaks only French in Martinique. And to be honest, it's going to be really hard to get service if you don't speak French. My partner and my partner speaks 10 languages. It's absolutely amazing. It's a gift. I speak maybe 3 or 4. So we'll often be walking around in cafes or restaurants helping out the tourists because everyone is struggling with the French menu and the French, like especially our cruiser friends or sailor friends who are from the US or from Europe. We're going to help them out a little bit with the French aspect of it.
Well, that's fun. That's a great service you're giving them. I know it. I was in Italy. I speak Spanish, and I knew a little bit of Italian and some Portuguese, but when I was there, it was a different story. So it was very hard. I was grateful to find some Spanish speakers. But so have you traveled a lot around the Caribbean, or have you mostly been in this one island?
Oh yeah, we started our journey in Trinidad and Tobago, which is the southest island of the Caribbean. It's really close to Venezuela. And then we sailed up from there to the next island, which is Grenada. Spent some time in Grenada. And then after Grenada, the Grenadines. So that's also, it's St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Vickie. That's where Pirates of the Caribbean was filmed. Funny, Pirates of the Caribbean fans. We went to see where it was filmed and everything. That was beautiful. And then we moved on to St. Lucia. Also very interesting history because it was in the hands of the English and then the French and then the English and then the French. And it's actually very new that it's independent. I think it's something like 1979. So it's very recent, and it's nice because the 2 languages are very much mixed up everywhere in that country, and the people have a very sad story in a way that they got out of slavery when they were in the hands of the French. But then the English people conquered and then slavery came back. So imagine if you're like, oh, you're no longer a slave. And then 10 years later, you have to go back to that. So anyway, we love the history of St. Lucia. It's very interesting and the people are very, very nice. And then from St. Lucia, we came to Martinique. And now we're currently debating if we want to sail up to Dominica this weekend or not. We haven't reached a decision yet.
Oh yeah. I heard that there's swimming pigs there. Like you could swim with pigs. Have you heard
That's in the Bahamas. That's in the Bahamas.
I heard it Dominica too, I thought had that, but
maybe. I don't know. I'll look it up.
Yeah. That's fun. So what's some interesting things, like the most interesting thing that's happened besides breaking down and being in the sea for 4 days? But something that stands out to you that's you've experienced.
Oh my God, there's just so many. The first time I saw dolphins, the first times dolphins were swimming with my boat, it's like they'll swim beside you for a couple of minutes, like if you're another water creature. I got so excited, I almost jumped overboard and did not take any photo or video because I was just amazed by what was happening, and then immediately regretted not taking a photo or anything. That was great. Of course, having our friends and family, I think, has been a big highlight for me, because every time we have a guest, it's like they notice all the little wonderful things that we don't notice anymore. Right? For us, it's our lifestyle. So we go to bed every night looking at the stars through the windows of the boat. We get up with the sunrise. We watch the sunset. We swim every day. We fish fresh fish. We make our own sushi.
Wow.
And for us, it's kind of become the same routine as when we were living back in Canada in an apartment, you know? So every time we have a guest, it's like they notice those little things that we don't appreciate enough. So I would say that's a big, big element. But I think the story that usually resonates with most people, a lot of people, is when we were in Grenada and we didn't have a working engine. We had some electricity problems. We had no more data. There was a good 2 day where we had no fresh water, no electricity, no fridge, no internet, nothing. Wow. And my partner wanted to be helpful. And so he cleaned up our toilet. He got the toilet out, like the actual toilet out of the bathroom.
Oh, a deep clean.
Yeah, it was gonna deep clean it. Like he moved the toilet out in the cockpit and was washing it in salt water, and he dropped it at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh no!
As if things were not, hard enough at that point. And so for 3 days we had to poop in buckets.
Oh my goodness!
Because we had no more toilet.
Wow.
And then we borrowed some scuba diving equipment. And we found our toilet at the bottom of the sea, brought it back on the boat, reinstalled it, and now we're all good.
That's amazing. That's great. Wow. That is a story to always remember. Yeah. What an experience.
If that is not living greatly, I don't know what it is.
That's right. Yeah, you're definitely living greater there. So I love this. You've had, I'm sure, so many adventures, and I bet you'll see dolphins again. So you can take those videos and photos. So how long have you been out sailing?
We've been sailing since September 1st.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's 7 months.
Yeah.
7 months.
And you come in. So have you enjoyed is the Caribbean your choice because of the weather? Is the climate and stuff? Is that why you chose to sail there first?
Yeah, the weather is definitely a big one. Coming from Canada, I definitely wanted to escape those cold Canadian winters.
Yeah,
that was a big element. The Caribbean is also a fairly easy place to sail in terms of like currents.
Okay.
Current winds, islands, and it's a great playground if you want to explore a lot of countries without doing too long sails.
Okay.
Like the day we did a 4-day sail was an exception because we were trying to get to Martinique one shot at the time to get a piece for the engine, but normally all the sails are about 24 hours or less in between islands. So It's really good for beginners. It's not like crossing an ocean that'll take you 14 days or stuff like that. So yeah, those are the main reasons, but we're currently thinking of a plan for the next 3-4 years. And I think we'd like to buy a boat on the Mediterranean, maybe 2 years from now, to discover a whole new playground.
That's awesome. What do you do for hurricane season?
So you cannot really be in the Caribbean during hurricane season. Mm. So we're
Like,
gonna
they'll
go
just
back.
restrict it like completely, or
You
you
it's
don't
not,
want to be?
we don't want to be there. First of all, our most insurance will not cover you or your boat during this period. So that's one
Oh,
element.
okay.
It's also just not, it's also, yeah, it's dangerous. You can get damage on your boat and all of that. So we're gonna sail back down south to Trinidad and Tobago end of May.
Okay.
Get Yellowbird out of the water. So she's going to be hauled out and in a boat yard for June, July, and August. And we're going to leave her there. We're going to do some repairs, clean her up real nice. And then we're going to use those 3 months to fly back to Canada, see our friends and family. And we are coming back in September to start another cruising season.
Okay. That'll probably be a fun break, just to go visit everybody and stuff, and get cold again so you can enjoy going back to the warmer weather.
Yes, and take real showers.
Yeah, yeah. So do you have a regular shower, or is it more like a motorhome type shower where it's smaller?
None of the above. It's a bucket.
Oh,
Yeah. We just got a bucket. Usually the official procedure for boat showers, well, in our case, because we don't have one, a lot of our friends have showers on their boat. So we'll jump in the salt water, come out, shampoo and soap, jump back in the salt water, come back, and then do conditioner, and then rinse with fresh water. So we'll just like fill a bucket, a glass, or a pot. Just a pot, like a pot of pasta, and clean up with the fresh water.
sweet. You got lots of little adventures and big adventures. That's fun. You're learning a lot, I'm sure. And
Yeah.
like you said, it's a humbling experience, right? To be on the boat and living that way, but some grand adventures at the same time. And to be out in nature, I mean, all the time. What a blessing for you.
It's amazing. You really have to be connected to, because every small shift in nature will influence our lifestyle. So it's raining, we're gonna wait to go to land later, or we're gonna choose a different anchorage if that anchorage has a lot of rain on it, or what kind of soil is it? Is it sand? Is it rocks? Is it coral? Is going to influence how much chain we let out for our anchor. What's the weather like this weekend? Are we sailing? Are we not sailing? Is it too windy? Is not windy enough? These are all questions. So we have to look at the weather every day. We have to be really connected to what environment we're in, what kind of nature we're in, what is the water like? Is this a good fishing spot? That's the kind of reflection I did not have when I was living the city life.
Yeah. Yeah, you really tune into different things. And I think, like you said earlier, how your life is becoming normal for you. It's not, new things, all these little things. So is that also like checking the weather? That's just becoming second nature for you?
Yeah, definitely. We check the weather every day. And for us, we don't just check like, oh, is it sunny or rain? We check like, is there any depressions coming? What's the speed of the wind? Which direction is the wind from? Is it coming from the east or the north or the west? Or, so we're definitely, that's definitely part of our routine, like brushing our teeth, we check the weather.
Yeah. And so does that determine where you're going to go? Like, I guess the direction of the wind and all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. That's going to influence, like, for example, for the sail to Dominica, Dominica is the island between Martinique and Guadeloupe. Because of the way that the islands are positioned, the wind is really, really intense in between those two islands. It's usually coming from the northwest. But it gets really intense, and so often it's even more than what it says on the predictions on the apps or all of that. So we know that if the prediction is more than 15 or 20, we probably should not go out because it's going to be too much wind for a small boat. So yeah, the wind definitely influences our decision making.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what's determining if you go to Dominica next week or whatever is the weather.
It's one of the factors, but no, the reason why we're debating is because like I said, we had a lot of guests recently, and we know we need to sit down and do a bit more work. We haven't been the most diligent with our work, my partner and I. And every time we get to a new country, we're excited. We want to see the culture. We want to try the food. We want to do all the activities. We meet new people. And then we kind of not focus on work, right? So we're just wondering, should we go check out Dominica, or should we maybe anchor close to the city, find a co-working space, and have a week that is more work oriented? So that's where we're at in our conversation.
So is that hard? I mean, like you're saying, sometimes that's difficult. Do you have to, I mean, you really have to stretch some discipline for yourself. You're in this beautiful place, but you need to be working as well. So is that really hard sometimes? I mean, like you're saying, you just want to explore, but.
Yeah, it's definitely part of creating kind of a work-life balance, but in a different way, maybe than people who have too much work, not enough life, or too much life, not enough work, or work can be life as well, you know? But yeah, like you said it, the recipe to success is being disciplined, creating routines, and creating routines that work no matter where you are in the world. And that's something I very much struggled with when we became digital nomads. We flew to South Korea, and we were in South Korea for a bit. And I had a really hard time getting into a healthy routine in terms of fitness, meditation, moving my body, being mindful, creating my to-do list. All of that was really tough because you're constantly changing environments. You're not getting up, you're not going to bed at the same time, you're not eating food that you're used to. So that took us a while, but I think now it's been a little over a year, and I think now we've kind of found a better balance in terms of creating routines, and we kind of see when we're getting off track. So it's kind of one of those, it's like, oh, we know we need to get back on the track. And is it going to help us to go to Dominica, or would it be safer to stay on this country for a bit longer? So
right. Well, this has been so exciting to talk to you, Vickie. One other thing, you should try Vieques. Vieques is by Puerto Rico. It's an island of Puerto Rico, and they have more horses than people on that island that they let roam. And if you ever want to do a bioluminescent tour, that's one of the best places in the world. So you should check that out.
Yes.
So my family and I were there just in December, and it was amazing. So yeah.
Oh, definitely send it to me. Send me an email. I'd love to go check it out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share before we end today?
Everybody go after your dreams, no matter how crazy they seem to you. And if you feel stuck, it's probably because you're focusing on everything that you don't know instead of focusing on everything there is to learn.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, just stretch yourself a little bit. So Vickie, can you share with us how people connect with you?
Yes, 100%. Definitely connect with me on Instagram. I live there. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn, but just more present on Instagram. And I also have a special offer for you if you're listening to this podcast and you'd like to try the Support and Strategy Society. You'd like to get supported by me and 8 other awesome experts in business to help you become a digital nomad. You can have access to the support that lasts for only $1 for 30 days. So you can test the formula for 30 days for only $1.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And we'll leave all those links in the show notes. So, thank you so much, Vickie. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Happy sailing, or what do they say? What is there a term?
Yeah, smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing. Okay, yeah. Smooth sailing.